in AP Lit, and we're looking at the poem "My Last Duchess." I do want to say a few things about the poem. First, I want to tell you that it's Robert Browning. He is a Victorian era. We're a little bit ahead of things. We're going to do Victorian poetry, Kipling, and we'll do more Browning. So first of all, it's a little bit ahead. We're about the Civil War era with Mark Twain, and then later with Red Badge. But he is also British. That's just something to note. He was married to Elizabeth Barrett Browning, who at the time was the more famous of the two. You probably heard of her, How Do I Love Thee, Let Me Count the Ways. She wrote a book of poetry called Poems to the Portuguese, or Sonnets to the Portuguese. Anyway, famous, kind of a famous literary couple. I want to tell you what a monologue, dramatic monologue is. That's what this is. So you'll run into it. We talk ballads, odes, sonnets, but this is a dramatic monologue. So I want you to write that term down. If you know what you're dealing with, it's just a tremendous advantage. So a dramatic monologue, if you look at both words, they adequately identify the type of poem it is. It's dramatic, which means it's like it's in a play. So a dramatic monologue is a scene from a play, except this is the only part of the play there is. There's no bigger play. This is it. It's a scene narrated to us through a monologue. So it's a character in the scene. He's the only one. It's a monologue, so there's no one else speaking. He's the only one speaking. He speaks, and he speaks not just to us, but to somebody in the poem. So as you read the poem, at some point, you have to figure out who is this person. The title gives you some idea, and you'll quickly get to know him, and maybe not like him. But the title gives you some idea who he is, where is he, who is he talking to, and what's he talking about. And so when you run into dramatic, when you figure you're reading one, remember it's like a slice of a scene from a play which doesn't exist. It's interesting, the title, you could just start there. Every word in that title is significant. It tells us something about his personality. So let me read it to you. If you don't know what you're dealing with, reading it could be a problem. Anyway, there's no rhyme. No, there's rhyme. There's actually rhyme couplets all the way through here. I forgot about that. That's kind of helpful. So let me read it to you, and then you can work on the multiple choice, and I'll give you those answers a little bit. My Last Duchess. That's my last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder now. Frau Pandolf's hands work busily a day, and there she stands. Wilt please you sit and look at her? I said Frau Pandolf by design, for never read stranger like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. But to myself they turn, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you but I, and seemed as if they would ask me, if they durst, how such a glance came there. So not the first are you to turn and ask thus, Sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into the Duchess' cheek. Perhaps Frau Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my wrist too much, my lady's wrist too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half blush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked whate'er she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, 'twas all one, my favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, the bough of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her, the white mule she rode with round of terrace. All and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush at least. She thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. Who'd stop to blame this sort of trifling? even had you the skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such a one, and say, just this or that in you disgust me, here you miss, or there exceed the mark. And if she let herself be lessoned so, nor plainly set her wits to yours, forsooth, and made excuse, e'en then would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whene'er I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile? This grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. There she stands as if alive. Wilt please you rise? We'll meet the company below then. I repeat, the Count, your master's known munificence, is ample warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed. Though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed at starting, is my object. Nay, we'll go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, though, taming a seahorse, thought a rarity, which Claude of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. I think it's fascinating, interesting, but it's not easy. So see what you can do with, I think there are 15 questions, about the number of questions you'd have on the AP for the two each, for the two poems you're going to have to read in May and answer multiple choice questions.